Well, hello.
Hi, Charlie.
Hey,
Hello,
Charlie.
everyone. Welcome to episode 6 Expectations, the Silent Thief.
Mm.
And today I have two people here. Well, you all know Brenda if you've been coming, and we have a special guest today. So, first, I'm Charlie Collins, and I'm with the podcast is called Blindsided. I'm also a co founder of Thriving Blind Academy. I'm a speaker. And I also do some coaching, and I am just my most favorite thing is to have fun. And Brenda,
Hi, Charlie. My name is Brenda, and I'm the founder of Time for 10. We're an emotional awareness coaching service, and what we do is help people identify the blocks and barriers to emotional freedom by teaching them how to identify and remove conditioned thinking. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Brenda. Hi, Charlie. Thanks for having me here today. This is really exciting. I'm Dawn, and I wrote a book, which is actually the ebook is free to download from Amazon or most other platforms, and it's called 12 Steps for Your Non-Addicted Life. So it's about using the 12 steps of AA, regardless of whether you have any kind of addiction or not. And absolutely one of the key topics in that book is resentment. So I think it'll be very relevant today.
excellent, thank you. And Dawn, I think you also kind of like climbing rocks and maybe doing some drama. I don't mean engaging in drama.
That is true. My hobbies include rock climbing and theater. So I guess I am maybe a drama queen. I usually work backstage, so I'm not actually involved in the drama. I'm just lighting the drama up.
So does that mean you're arranging the lights in the ballet?
Yeah. I like to arrange the lights.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, this is exciting to be with both of you today, and I expect you're both going to do very well. Uh, and we're talking about expectations. And what is an expectation? Is it an expectation of ourselves? Is it an expectation of others in our environments or people we live with? Or is it people in stores? Gosh, we keep going back to that. I keep
No.
going back to that store. Obviously, I need to keep looking at that. Is it expectations of weather? I mean, is it, are we looking, we're looking at today, do we set ourselves up for failure or for resentment? And what is a resentment? Refeeling an old hurt or refeeling something in the moment? And I keep processing that. They should, he should, she should, I don't like. And I focus on that and I kind of fire myself up. And, one of the things I heard, you guys, is I was in a conference and the presenter said, what did he say? Expectations of others are resentments on layaway. And I'm like, ooh, I can relate to that.
Hmm.
I can relate to it too, Charlie. How many times, at least for me, I've done this in the past, have I wanted somebody to do something without telling them or asking them to do it, but just wanting them to do it and assuming that they would?
Right. And my initial reaction to almost everything is to try to predict the future. I think like that's what expectations are in a way, right? I'm looking at what's happening right now and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a negative way. And then I get all thrown off when my predictions for the future are not correct. you know. So right, it's that trying to plan ahead sometimes actually just gets us in trouble.
It does. And our brains, I mean, we have three things we can have complete control over, and it's how we think, how we behave, and I put the images, the future, how we see something working out, but really which is feeling, how we feel. And expectations are they trigger emotion because it's going to work out either one of two ways for the most part. If we're that type, like, oh, this is good or this is bad. If it worked out this way, I'll be happy. If they would just do this. And Brenda, I love how you said, I have them sometimes for others, but I don't share it. I don't have a process or a way to talk to them about it. I just silently think they should know best.
Yes. And that's where we get into trouble, or that's where I get into trouble. And I like what Dawn said. It's trying to predict my future. And when I peel that onion about the future, it's the future that I want without consulting with anybody else. It's the future that I want and that I think I should have.
Right. Well, as a person who does theater, right, it's writing a script. That's what I often say. Like, I have these whole arguments, discussions, whatever, with other people totally in my head. I have written all their lines for them, and then usually I win the argument because I wrote the script. And it's it's just a real surprise when I get to that situation and the other person does not correctly say their lines, unlike what they're supposed to on stage. Life has to be ad-libbed.
Yeah. And and one of the things we're up against too. So I went to Disney years ago and we looked, there was some online, but it was flyers, pamphlets, and everything looked like, wow. I mean, I'm expecting to have that experience, but when I got there, it was different. It was dirty. The bathrooms weren't that, and the food and the lines. But this isn't what I expected. I expected to have the experience that these flyers and the people that sold me all the tickets and passes that they told me I would have. Now, I had a wonderful experience, but I believe that this is sometimes happens to us. We have an outpicturing, or we've been guided through social media, and boy, the lives of these people, this place is so different than when I get there. It's not quite as it looked in my mind.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point. And that doesn't just happen on vacations or, when we're going on a trip or we're going to somebody's house for dinner. It happens at work, and it happens with friendships, and it happens at home with our families. And, I just want to say good morning to Trish. And one of the things that she's saying in the chat, besides stay away from Disney now, is that how we think is everything, and how we experience life on life's terms is everything. Thank you for that, Trish.
And that comes again from like the ad-libbing concept that if you're an actor on stage and you don't know what your next line is, it's very terrifying, right? And in fact, us as human beings going through life, we find that scary too, or at least I do. Like, this unknown future of not knowing, of not having expectations is very scary for me. So I plan out, I script that thing, and then I feel comfortable, like, yeah, okay, then I'm going to be okay. I got it all worked out. And immediately it gets destroyed, right? So a lot of times it comes back to that fear of, I don't know I don't know what Disney is going to be like till I've been at Disney. And so I start just like creating it in my mind out of whatever pieces I've been fed.
And there's businesses, there's the world and the people and around us. They all have a persona. They want us to have a certain perception of, and our experience should match theirs. I was working with a lady many, many, many years ago in my business. Now, I'm legally blind, okay? And I owned a business that helped others with vision impairment. And I had tools. I had a way to think about approaching my day. And I had the tools I used to magnify, to listen to the computer, to magnify on the computer, to light the room properly, or the environment I was working in. So I'm working with a lady who had 25 years on me. She had the same condition in the eye, pretty much the same disability. And I said, I knew exactly what was going to help her because it helps me. And she goes, I don't like that. And I took it personal. I'm like, no, the teeth are going together. I'm like, this lady's kind of stupid. I mean, doesn't she get it? I know what I'm talking about. And she can't see it the way I see it. Then I'm starting to feel that tense in my body. Oh, wait, that's called a resentment. And I was like, well, I don't get it. This helps me. And she goes, well, is it possible there's other things or ways that I could approach that I would get benefit and be able to live independently? And I went, what? I never thought of that. Yes, there is. And let me help you. And then she found a set of tools and thinking that helped her thrive. And she taught me a lesson very early on when I opened the business. The way I do it isn't the right way, isn't the best way. It just works great for me.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a really great point. You know, we tend to see, or at least I tend to see myself, right?
You keep saying we.
I used to have these sweatshirts, and the front of the sweatshirt said, "It's all about me" on the front, and the back of the sweatshirt said, "It's not about you." And I used to wear it, right? I used to sell those sweatshirts, and people would get a big kick out of it. But that was exactly what was going on in my mind. Like, all I could see was me and how things affected me and what I wanted. And I wasn't really able to see outside of that box until I started doing some of this work. And there's a whole other world out there. Everybody has their own unique way of seeing things, of doing things, of expressing themselves. And I learn from that with other people. And just like you said, because I've become open-minded and I've been humbled enough to know that my way isn't the only way, and it's usually not the best way. Now I can expand and learn so many other ways of connecting with other people, because really that's what I want to do. I want to connect with other people. I don't want to be separated from them. And by allowing myself to expand in that way and learning from them, instead of telling them how to do it and forcing my expectations on them, my life is just quieter and calmer and better.
It's funny because that comes up in climbing too, that when you're trying to do a climb, it feels like, well, this is the easier way to do it. Like if you put your right foot here and your left foot over there, then it's going to be easier. And we call that beta. I love to share beta. Like I want to tell everybody, no. See, if you put your right foot over here and your left foot over there, then that'll be easier than the way you're doing it. And I'll say, it's not easier. And, right, because we are all different. And you're right, Brenda, that not only am I annoying when I get really insistent on my way being the best way, but I actually close myself down to the possibility that my way is not the best way, and maybe they have something that they can show me.
Yeah. So someone in the chat is saying, seeing outside yourself is empathy.
Cool. That famous question, would you rather be right or happy? And I remember somebody asking me that way back and said, would you rather be right or happy? And I said, both. And I always am. So next, because I don't want you, I'm not willing to open the door to learn something new. I'm so frustrated with the things in my life that I can't possibly let you know. But obviously that person was aware or could see that, is it time for the door of willingness to open a little bit and help us? Because again, you want to trigger emotions, and emotions are good, and they could be bad, but they're teaching. Brenda, you always say, don't look at it as it shouldn't be this way. It's your body trying to guide you to the next right thing for you. And when I live in an environment or I go to work and I expect colleagues or people in my home to act and be and do a certain way, because then I would be happier if they just did it a certain way. I'm the one who suffers because I'm not willing to share that with them because they might not do it. It just twists me up more and more.
It does. You bring up a really good point. It's funny too, because I just did a little training video on this about having a loveless moment. And if we allow people, because one of the things you said about being right or being happy, so there's two things that I learned, and I don't always practice it, but I try really hard to. And that is just, somebody can't always see your point of view. They can't see what you're trying to share with them. And so I just say okay on good days. I just say okay and I walk away and I give them the space they need to process it. Whether they see it my way or not doesn't matter, but I no longer engage in the fight of wanting them and needing them and showing them how to see it my way. And the having a loveless moment video that I've worked on and am deploying this week is about when somebody's having a loveless moment and they do something that's distasteful or that upsets you or triggers you in some way, instead of engaging in the moment with that situation, if you just allow them to experience their loveless moment and you disengage and walk away and give them the space to process it, they'll usually come back after a period of time. And actually, Dawn's to my right. She's the one who taught me this. They'll usually come back with a different perspective if you give them the space to process that on their own, instead of reacting and going in and trying to convince them that they should be seeing it a certain way.
Right. Well, it's important to remember that all of these expectations that I have and the script that I have written in my head about how everything is supposed to go, that other person has done the exact same thing. Like
Yep.
They have expectations, they've written their own script, and I am not following their script. And so, right, I need to extend to them some patience to reorient themselves, just like I sometimes find it difficult to reorient myself when I realize, like, no, my expectations are not going to be met. People are not always going to be happy about that, right? Just like I'm not always happy about that. And that's not about me in that moment. And it's not really even about whether I'm right or wrong. It's about that their expectations just failed to meet reality.
Whew.
Right?
Yeah. I don't like butting heads on scripts because I mean, there's absolutely no discussion. Mine's right.
Well, you're the director, Charlie. So.
I thought well.
So think about for a second, how many times have you had even a confrontation or a disagreement with somebody and you were triggered in that moment and you said some things you didn't like, things maybe you wouldn't normally say, you're remorseful the next day, right? So the next day you wake up and you're like, wow, I don't even recognize who I was yesterday. Like just even sleeping on it, taking the time to allow yourself. We talked about a couple of episodes ago about the amygdala and how it gets activated and we become afraid, and just sleeping on it and coming back to it the next day and then having a discussion can make a huge difference.
Yeah, so this is a skill that I've started to learn in my own life, is the pause when things appear to be going wrong. So, I might say something or do something that I'm not expecting to lead to an argument or a big problem. And then all of a sudden it does. Like I can sense that, oh, why am I having an argument right now? Right. And I used to just bull straight ahead with that. Like, oh, you're challenging me now. I'm going to have to challenge you back. We're now fighting. And so I've sort of learned to take that pause. And I describe it as, I do still sometimes step into dog poop, but I now have got like a little bit of the sense to like not put the second foot down in the dog poop, to be like, oops, whoa, something happened. I am now in dog poop. I just go back off, right? So yeah, to give that space and that time for both myself and the other person to calm down and not keep charging ahead into that uncharted territory where obviously we both are not having our expectations met. And are trying to assert the dominance of which person's expectations are going to win. And ideally it's probably neither person's. Like we're going to find that compromise, but in the
Yep.
heat of that moment, it's you're just rolling around in dog poop.
I like that. Have it, an expectation scoreboard.
Yeah, right.
That's never going to work out. And I went to a restaurant and a newer one in the town now. I looked online. It looked wonderful. Had some music playing and just nice lighting. And it's like, oh, we're going to have, I expected. So I'm building this image without really focusing on it. I'm just thinking I'm going out to eat with Molly, my wife. and we're going to check out this new place, and we're going to I expect to have a good time. And I expect everyone to please be a part of that. And now I don't know that until I'm in there going, well, they didn't greet me the right way. And I don't mean it in a way, but I'm a business guy. I like to see how people run businesses, Dawn, it's like standing in a rock climbing center and watching people do it and like, oh my gosh, these people they're doing it wrong. And I need to fix it, and I'm not saying you do that. But I'm saying for me, I can go into a restaurant and say, I already know how you should run this better, because my expectations, which I'm not even present to yet. I'm just starting to think. I'm blaming the way you didn't even ask me. Is this my first time here? You should ask me that. You should get to know me a little, make me feel important. Tell me what's good, what's new and good about this place. Why would you want me to come back? Well, they don't train them that way. And then I'm thinking I should offer a coaching program. And but I have an expectation, then it hits me and I'm starting to be a little crabby. And I wonder why, oh God, here comes the guy to play music. I bet you I'm not even gonna like the stuff he plays. And then it hits me. Just like I'm starting to battle a pre-done expectation of my experience. I'm not present in the moment. I'm fighting the script I came in here with, and now I'm going to let it go.
And, that makes me think about just the unrealistic expectations of smoothness that I carry with me everywhere I go, that everything is going to be smooth. There will be no traffic jams. There will be no delays. And all my gadgets will work correctly all the time. And that dishonest expectation of smoothness just sets me up so bad for resentments, because an honest expectation would be that, probably 1 out of every 3 times you leave your house, you're going to hit traffic. That, at any given moment in time, one of your gadgets is probably not functioning correctly. Like that would be a more honest expectation, which I often fail to have.
Great stuff. So I'm just going to read a comment in the chat, if that's okay. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
So Imagination, the Awakening says, anytime we try to convince someone of something, we are in a constant climb to keep them convinced. Really good point. By being consistent, the never-ending example, our actions speak many more words than sounds. And a shout out to Cassidy as well. Good morning. Wow.
That is cool. And let me just do a shout out. That is Stanley, my buddy. And he is, we have 3 calls each week at a certain time in the morning, and we bounce ideas. We hold each other accountable. And sometimes we have expectations and get a little aggravated, and we work things out. And I can't recommend enough that people, find someone, a platform, a coach or something. If you're finding yourself expecting something outside of you to make you happy, to bring you more money, to get you more peace in life, if something you're looking outside and you expect a human being or an environment or a thing or a gas line, you know what I mean, pulling in to get gas. If you think these things, if they just worked out the right way, then I would be happy. Keep coming.
Good suggestion. And Dawn said something about pausing, and we've done an episode on pause, process, and proceed with purpose. And in the pause, you can ask yourself questions like, how important is this? Does it really matter? What am I even engaging in this for? Am I trying to get control? Am I afraid? Am I, what is really going on with me that I'm even, spinning about something or trying to vie for control or wanting it even to be a certain way? Like when I get stuck in traffic, I used to drive a lot. I used to drive from an hour and a half in the morning and 2 hours at night to work. I don't do that anymore, which is great. And I used to get all upset about traffic. And then I found audiobooks, and I was like, now there's a traffic jam. And I'm like, yes, I get another half hour of my audiobook, right? So instead of focusing on how crappy it was to be sitting in traffic and not getting where I wanted to go when I wanted to go. There was something positive I could bring into that space and do instead. It took me like a year to get there, but I finally did get there.
That's the like the ad-libbing of life, right? When I'm not running on a script and I am prepared to meet what's happening as it's happening, I can find the goodness in that moment, the thing that actually, oh, okay, I'm being steered towards this instead of that, right? Letting go of whatever expectation and script that I had written, and just being open to the flow is gonna, I'm gonna have a lot less stress in my life if I can do that.
Yeah.
And the number one admittance or emergency room and things in hospital now is mental health. So I'm out there thinking at times, and thankfully I've woke up more, but that others, humans, should act in a certain manner because it's just better for me. and but I don't realize they could have some sort of malady, a disconnect. They could be going through something very difficult in life. They could be battling some depression, anxiety. They could have just lost somebody, and I'm expecting them to conform to my pre-written script that I downloaded from Dawn's website. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa. And Dawn, you just said that. It's like, I just want to be. I'm just going to go in this place, and I'm not, everything is reality. It's going to happen the way it's gonna. And it's only how much am I going to smile? What can I do to support these people? Because I've learned that I used to think everybody had it better than me. I expected my life to be different than it was. And the higher power made me blind, short, not that smart. And I lived on that. And then I woke up to that's a big lie that's killing me.
Yeah, that expectation that there's some future thing that is going to finally fix my life and make me happy is what keeps me from being happy right here, right now. Yeah. Because the truth is, you can only be happy right here, right now, right? I like to tell this story from Alice in Wonderland, or Alice Through the Looking Glass, actually, about where Alice is going to go work for the White Queen, and the White Queen is describing what the salary is, and she says, and we get jam every other day. And so Alice is like, so do we get jam today? And the White Queen says, well, no, we never get jam today. We get jam every other day. Right? And I feel like that's how some of us approach happiness, is like, I never get happiness today. I'm going to get happiness every other day. I had happiness in the past. I'm going to have happiness tomorrow. Happiness is something that happens every other day except today. So my motto is kind of jam today.
I love that. That's great. So I want to ask a question. I know, Charlie, I'm going to shake things up a little. What about expectations we have of ourselves and how that robs us of happiness? I mean, forget about all the expectations we have of others. What about the ones that we put on ourselves?
Yeah, that's a great topic, because I expect myself to be perfect. Right? I expect myself to never mess anything up. I expect myself to be the best at everything I try. And those expectations kept me in a very small box for a long time. So I couldn't stray out of my box because I wouldn't know what I was doing. I might not be good at it. I might make a mistake. I didn't know how it was going to go. And so I feel like the two things are actually conjoined, like my expectations of other people to be perfect and my expectations of myself to be perfect. Like if I can forgive myself for my imperfections, then I can forgive them, but also vice versa. If I'm going to forgive them for their imperfections, I got to forgive myself too. Like we are all just humans stumbling through life as best we can.
Yes.
That's why the title of my book is Tripping into the Light. Maybe I'll write another one, Stumbling into the Light.
One of the things I've noticed is that and I didn't notice it until I was forced to take a look at it through suffering and pain, is that the expectations I was having for myself, I was totally projecting on other people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm.
And
We think other people care about everything to the same extent we do. Like, this is important, that's not important. And people have different priorities.
For sure.
Like, for, I don't keep my house all that sparkling clean. I used to worry about it a little bit when people came over, and now I don't even. I'm just like, this is my house. This is how I live. And I understand that there are other people who have that expectation for themselves, that their house is going to be sparkling clean. It's just not that important to me. So I have to realize that there are things that are like important to me. A person would never do this. A person should always do that. That other people are just like, what? No, I don't know. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's fair, right? We all get to have different priorities.
yep. Yep. And I like that because my garage has to be organized and perfectly clean and lit right. And now and that's because of me, not because of if you walk in it and it's not that way, you might. And now the old days that's different. But if you walked in there and thought, "Oh, what is wrong with this guy? His garage is messy, it's not lit well, his tools aren't organized. I mean, this guy's obviously a disaster." And I don't know why that comes to me. Maybe I've thought that way in someone else's garage. Uh,
Don't
Maybe
come to
I
my
thought
garage,
that
though.
if I had a nice garage, that I would then be happy and you would accept me and you wouldn't think I was a loser. But now I have a garage that's organized, well lit, and things because that's how I operate best in that environment. And if you want to come in and judge it or tell me it's good or bad or indifferent, that's on you.
It's beautiful to be able to think that way. There's so much freedom in that, to just be you. Just be you.
Right. And like, put my energy into, if it's my garage, put my energy into going out and organizing my garage, and less energy into worrying about what other people's garages are like. Right? Because that's where all my energy used to be, was in like comparing the thing that I hadn't actually even tried to do yet to how other people were doing it, right? Like, speaking of expectations, I always wanted to write books, but I was not a best-selling author. Now, I was primarily not a best-selling author because I had not written any books, right? And because I never got around to the writing the books part. I just went down the road of like comparing the book I had not written to the success that other people were having. It's so, like, these days I try to flip that and just put no energy into what kind of success or other people might be having, and just put my energy into me doing the thing I want to do. And it's going to come out how it comes out, but at least something got done now. At least there is a book. It's still not a bestseller, but there's a book.
And you're not defining the worth of the book on whether it sells or not. It's how you felt about doing it.
Yes, you know how Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try." I think Yoda is an idiot. Like, I have come to decide that life is exactly the opposite of that. Like, there is no do. There is only try. Like, that is where the magic happens, right? Is in making the attempt and actually being in that moment, trying. And that's where I get my growth, where I get my satisfaction. At the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter what the outcome of that was. The outcome, the thrill of the outcome, if it's good, is fleeting. The feeling of actually being in the moment and just being engaged in what I'm doing without expectations, that's the gold, and that can really last.
Wow, that is so profound. Wow, I love that.
So people tried to help me, and I don't know why they would even do that. I don't need your help, but anyway, um, they tried to help me, and I shut the door on that. And Dawn, to your point, now if they said I'm here and I'm going to help you and you are going to change, obviously that's what I thought they were saying. But what it did, they tried. And then they went on back to their life. And then I got mad because they stopped trying. But anyway, they planted a small little seed, and that that started to germinate, and then maybe somewhere else tried to help, and maybe I went to go try to find some help, and eventually the germination process. But if people approach it like I'm here to help you, and if you don't, jump on this with everything you got and fall through, I'm done with you. No, they tried. And then they looked for another door to open. And people didn't give up on me. And I know you, all three of us can relate to that. We try to help people. And when the door of willingness opens enough, when we don't have an expectation, you're going to do it the way I present it to you, and you're going to get better the same way I got better. And you're going to no, I'm just going to try in this moment and allow the outcome to be in somebody else's hands.
Great. And it turns out that is the only way, I think, to help people, is to not have the expectation of what their result is going to be. Because otherwise, as we've been talking about, expectations lead to resentments. And so if I have an expectation of how somebody is going to change or be fixed or whatever, then I will get resentful when they do not change or be fixed the way I think they should. And then, walk away. And I think a lot of people have just a trail of like broken relationships in their past that come from that, right? Like I tried and I tried and I tried to make you into the person I thought you should be, and you refused to do it. So now I'm done with you.
I just want to take a commercial break. Hey, if you guys like this, please like this, wherever platform you're on. Please share it with your family, friends, and all those people that you expect should get better. And and then check out Time for a 10. Go check out Dawn's book. Check out my book, or do none of the above. We expect you to do whatever works best for you.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So we have some people in the chat saying thank you. Whoa, thank you for that reminder, Charlie. We don't always know what others are going through. And must be someone in your family. Makes me think of an old friend of mine who said she wouldn't be able to sleep at night if her garage was as disorganized as ours.
You'd not be able to sleep at night if you saw our garage.
For the record, I don't have a garage.
The problem was I kept waking up in mine.
But this person says that, I wasn't the one in charge of organizing the garage. And, I'm not the one in charge of organizing my garage here. Like I leave that to my partner. And honestly, if I was in charge of it, it would not look like that. I don't think it would look like Charlie's garage, but it wouldn't look like ours. But that's a really important part of my relationship with my partner, of keeping that even, is that I am not going to be controlling everything that he does, right? Like I don't have this expectation that his priorities and his life has to be exactly the way mine is. Like honestly, I don't really need to be in the garage. So it can just be what it is. And if I'm trying to control everything that like he does, all of his domain, we would not have the relationship we have, which is very peaceful. Like, I don't want to argue over the garage. Like, I don't want to be that person anymore.
And I like that. If I want to argue about his domains, his scripts, and I didn't know that. I mean, this is where the aha moments, and it's like, I honestly thought the way I thought was the way. I mean, I didn't know there were other ways. It's like, when you look at that picture, some people see the evil witch and some people see the beautiful, whatever that is. And it's like, what is wrong with you? I see this. If you don't see that, something's broken in you. And it's like, the way my neighbor arranges and does his car, garage, and environment, it works for him. And I don't need to go in there and dictate, you have this wrong, bro. No wonder why you're so miserable. I'm not the one who's miserable, he says. He looks at me and says, you're the one with the problem. I love my garage. It's like, I don't like this. So, and this isn't, I'm just using as examples, but I know the three of us, we've all faced that. And we've all had to take a look at that. And my bed isn't made today, but I'm going to go out and make yours. I'm going to tell you how to make a bed, but I haven't done mine because mine isn't the problem. It's yours.
Wow. So true.
very
And
much.
so lying.
The modern internet, social media really makes that so easy to do, right? To
Mm.
just scroll through other people's lives and think, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and sit there in our chair feeling outraged and do nothing about it. One of the things I talk about with friends, if we have something called self-righteous anger, right, which is when I'm angry about something and I have a right to be angry about it because it really is bad. And it's like, well, okay, am I prepared to do anything about that thing, or am I just going to sit here and stew in the anger of how other people are wrong? Because if I'm not prepared to do anything about it, then I can just look around my own house and say, well, you know what, I could empty the dishwasher, and that's going to have more lasting value than me being angry about what strangers on the internet are doing.
Yeah. And it's not only do we scroll through the way you were saying, Dawn, and we pass judgment on what we're seeing, and we compare the other person to ourselves, and we either find ourselves better or we find ourselves lacking. And
Yep.
Charlie and I have talked a couple of times on these podcasts about the dual thinking that we have. It's either good or bad or right or wrong, or they're better or they're worse. And a friend of mine says, what's between black and white? And I answered gray. And she said, no, Brent, no, the entire spectrum lies between black and white.
Mm.
And that blew my mind, because I never thought that way. And that's kind of what we're talking about with people and resentments and expectations, is there's an entire spectrum between the way somebody else thinks and the way that you do. And when we start to understand that there's a spectrum there, it kind of opens the door for letting go of outcomes, not worrying about what their garage looks like, and not caring, going over your house and saying, oh, I'm so glad I'm here with Dawn. I'm not even looking at her house. I get to connect with my friend today. Charlie said it, I think, on one of the first podcasts, when we change, how does that quote go? When we change what we think about changes, or how does that go? I forget it. Can you tell me? Do you remember?
Well, it's kind of like the one you just made up.
You just make it up.
But one of the things I if you can't think greater than you feel, then you're in trouble.
Yes.
And where did that feeling come from? Why are your emotions dictating your thought process? And that's going to produce, that's why expectation could trigger an emotion, which could be resentment, could then trigger the way I think about you. And then I'm going to feel tension and wonder why, and then feel sorry for myself, then start comparing and scrolling. Everybody's a loser. And then it's like, whoa, take a breath. And Dawn, I had a thought. I could see you will go scrolling through. I don't do that, but I get it. And landing on this video, and it says, "Hi, in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to properly unload your dishwasher. My name is Dawn." And if you do it this way, everybody will be happy, including me.
No, the key, Charlie, is loading it correctly, which
Well,
my
I'm
partner
very
does
good
not
at
do.
that. A good
Absolutely
thing
a right
Molly
way.
good thing my wife can't connect and talk right now, because I am a way better loader than she is.
Yeah.
Well, you guys good? I think we did a circled and had a nice discussion on expectations. I want to just remind people that you can look us up. You could thank you for engaging on the chat system. Thank you, Brenda, for reading, and Dawn. And please again, like us, subscribe us, or not. It's all good. We're here to serve, and we're grateful. This is the three of us, have a belief that we can't keep it unless we give it away. Give it away doesn't mean free. It means spiritual. I don't know what it means, but it means that we do this.
Pay it
And
forward.
I
Right?
grow from this. I
Right.
learn from Dawn. I learn from Brenda. I learn from the texting, the threading, or the chatting, whatever it's called.
Yeah, this is great to be here and to talk about these things, and hopefully it helps somebody. Somebody's listening that it's going to help. That's my desire anyway, and that's my wish.
Yes.
And Dawn, would you come back sometime, please? We had a
Yes.
wonderful
Oh my
time.
gosh, every week. Can you come every week? This
It
was
was
so
great
much
to-
fun.
And I wish you guys really the best in this endeavor. This is really great. I'll have to go back and listen to some of the past episodes because it sounds like a lot of good stuff got covered.
Thank you. All right. And here's me saying goodbye with my last slide. See ya.
Yay, there it is.
Bye-bye.
Bye.